The following quote is from Stop the World, the autobiography of Winnie Ewing. This text is from Chapter 14. The Scottish Parliament is hereby reconvened.
The reason for public apathy about the Annie's Land by-election was not difficult to see. I spent a week on the by-election campaign, as usual, and on the streets of the constituency I saw a level of deprivation that was truly shocking. People had virtually given up on politics and politicians, and those that voted simply endorsed the status quo out of a sense of duty, not with any enthusiasm. The center of the place appeared to be the Drumchapel shopping center in which was situated Donald Dewar's constituency office. This shopping center bore the marks of some sort of grand architectural plan, for it had a paved courtyard, a fountain, and offices and shops all around. But the fountain didn't work, shops, bar too, were boarded up and the place was covered in graffiti. I began to feel a violent anger that the man who had been the most powerful politician in Scotland at one time had allowed such a situation in his own constituency. But the Drumchapel Centre was only the tip of the iceberg. There were streets which were deserted, with houses shuttered and vandalized. There was rubbish everywhere, and I reflected, as I was driven about, that I would not have tolerated such run-down estates anywhere in Moray when I was the member. I would have demanded action, shouting from the rooftops if necessary. I recall how easy it had been for successive Westminster governments to write off the debt of the English housing corporations, the English water boards, and even that of London Transport, but they would not write off Glasgow's housing debt nor that of Glasgow's transport body. Nor would they put the money into improving localities such as Drumchapel, where unemployment was the norm. But I could never recall the member for Annie's Land getting publicly angry about this situation, nor agitating vigorously for the type of change that was essential. There were lots of good people working locally to help, holding classes, encouraging youth groups, teaching or doing social work, but their actions were constantly hampered by shortage of resources or lack of political backing. In these massive housing schemes, created by Labour, there was now a sense of hopelessness which only rewarded Labour at each election out of habit. It was the worst type of example of an inefficient and crumbling one-party state. I was even angrier when Donald Dewar's will was published and it turned out that he held substantial numbers of shares in privatized companies. He had always opposed privatization, and spoken against it, and his electors had a right to believe that he had taken a principled stance. Now it was obvious that he hadn't done even that.